We're live post-game. Timberwolves just demolished the Los Angeles Lakers in game one of their Western Conference playoff series, 117-95. Michael Rand here, Ryan Kostecka, Star Tribune sports editor, Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune columnist, with me immediately. Gentlemen, I want to hear your takes first, and then I'll get into my immediate reactions in the aftermath of this game.
Chip, go right ahead. I'll let you start this one.
I think we saw tonight that the Wolves are a team and the Lakers have two superstars. And you saw the Wolves' depth come in. You saw that their scoring options come into play. Luke is going to score his points. LeBron might get his, but they just don't have enough other scoring options. And you just look at, if this is the recipe for the Wolves, they outscored them 43-13 with their bench, much deeper. They got 25 points from Jaden McDaniels. I thought he was terrific.
He was great.
If that's the formula, they're going to win the series because the Lakers just can't. The Wolves have a decided advantage with their bench. And if they get that secondary scoring from Nas, Jaden, Ant had 22, but I thought he played a great, smart game in terms of not forcing things. I think he wound up with 7 or 8 assists. He talked all week about not driving into those gaps if they're going to be there helping on him, and he just played a great floor game. So I think if you're Chris Finch and the coaching staff, this game went as exactly, other than the start was rough, but this game went exactly how you would want it to go.
Ryan,
I think you nailed it, Chip. But I think the one thing I'm going to really take away from this game is just how the Wolves aren't scared. I mean, that's just they shouldn't have been scared. But you're facing Luka, the guy who actually tore you up last season in the playoffs. LeBron James, one of the best players ever, and the Wolves just slow start, but they were never afraid of the moment. And Ant was great. I mean, I really think 22 points, shot 8 of 22 from the field, but even then, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 1 turnover. I mean, he controlled the game just in every possible way. I was really, really impressed with him. We talked about it earlier. Lakers might have, of the 10, 11 best players, Lakers might have 3. Wolves have 8. They are so incredibly deep in this show tonight. And when they're that good on offense, the Lakers have to play a Jared Vanderbilt, which even weakens that offense even more. So I thought it was a great game by the Wolves all around. Great job by Ant. Great job, everyone.
Yeah, I thought.
Go ahead,
Chip.
Mike.
Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, I thought the key obviously was start second quarter where Finch went with the lineup of a lineup I don't think we've seen a lot of, but he went. His front line was Nas, Julius Randle, Jay McDaniels, and his backcourt was Nikhil and Mike Conley. And you saw like the first quarter they were stagnant offensively. They had the turnovers early. They were getting killed on the boards, but that group really picked up the pace. They picked up the ball movement and got him in that flow. And that game totally pivoted with that rotation when they came in.
It did. I thought so too. I thought Ant sat for like almost 6 minutes in the second quarter. He didn't come back out till about 6 minutes into this, 6 minutes left in the second quarter. So they gave him a nice long break. I thought that was a huge pivot point in the game because they're still like down 5, down 7 after the first quarter. It was kind of shaky. Luka was carving them up. But I think the things that stood out to me were, one, the mature game that Ant played. 22 points, Ryan, like you pointed out, just the very limited turnovers. He came out a little bit for that injury, but came back. Didn't look like he missed a beat. And then they withstood any kind of charge, right? Because, you got in the back of your head, blown leads, the one to Milwaukee a couple weeks ago, Memphis 3 years ago in the playoffs, even Dallas last year, not able to withstand when another team is making their run. They were able to withstand when the Lakers made that mini run. They got it down to like 12, but it never got worse than that. And that was a sign, at least, of game one of maturity. And the second point is, man, the Lakers supporting cast is even worse than I realized. Like Austin, like Austin Reeves. I know people like Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is Dante DiVincenzo. Like, he's fine. He's a nice player. He's not that good. He was a non-factor. They picked on him defensively every chance they could get. He can't defend. To have him on the floor in that capacity is a liability. He's like he would be the 7th best player in the Timberwolves. Like, this is a mismatch in terms of overall talent. LeBron and Luka are fantastic, all-timers, Hall of Famers. I mean, LeBron certainly, Luka on that trajectory. The rest of the Lakers roster is terrible. So can the Wolves take advantage of that? Can they keep LeBron and Luka down enough, keep the supporting cast from having kind of some of those flare up moments, because it was honestly for the last 3 quarters it was a mismatch. And JJ Redick trying to be polite at the start of the 4th quarter, they interview him, say, how'd you guys get back into the game a little bit at the end of the 3rd? He's saying, well, we started playing with more intensity. They finally started making a few shots, but they're overmatched.
Yeah.
They are overmatched in this series, and it was apparent in this game.
Yeah, and I think you saw it with the Wolves' complementary players versus theirs. When Jaden can score 25, and he's going to get his shots, right? You think about how his game has changed from this year to last year. Last year, he just basically sat in the corner and shot threes, and they either went in or they went out. Most time they didn't go in, right? You see him attacking a lot more. And I go back to all the injuries they had middle of the season where he kind of had to come out of his shell and blossom offensively. This is the player that we thought, all along that he would develop into. And I think when I was on the podcast with you earlier this week, Mike, I thought Naz Reid was the X factor for them because his shooting had really kind of been inconsistent towards the end of the year. I think he got that confidence back tonight. You saw that quick release. I don't know how many threes he wound up with. I don't know if they're going to shoot 50% from 3 for the series.
No,
but you look at their complementary guys where Ant doesn't have to go for 40 for them to win if they get this from those guys.
That's the big difference. Luka and LeBron are going to have to combine for 70 for them to have a chance. So I'm in that 60, 70 range every night.
Well, and here's the thing, too. The threes they were making, they kept pointing this out on the broadcast to their credit. Like, they were talking about how hot the Wolves were, but to their credit, they were saying a lot of these were wide open catch and shoot threes. Those are the threes you want to be taking. And the Wolves they don't have, Ant was obviously the leading, made the most threes in the NBA this season. He is he's become a very good 3-point shooter. But aside from Ant, they just have a bunch of guys who are good 3-point shooters. Like Naz, when he's kind of in that zone, he's a good 3-point shooter. Nikhil can make threes. Conley made a couple big ones. Like they're not Dante, but they're not going to make those every night. They're also not going to miss like 10 layups like they did tonight. So I think there's still room in their offensive game, some give and take there. So I thought their offense was fantastic, and their defense was just as good tonight.
You said it perfectly. I mean, that was the key to the offense. Yes, the Wolves were on fire from deep, but I mean, they're getting practice looks right now. I mean, and I texted Chris Hine this. I texted Chris Hine, Wolves beat reporter for us. I said, Mike Conley just pulled up in transition and stroked a 3. It's the apocalypse. I mean, that's when it's like, hey, just start writing, but it's game over at this point. That was very impressive. And it was how comfortable the Wolves looked doing it. It's almost like everything they went through the season, kind of the struggle, trying to find the right lineups, the right rotations. Chris Finch hit every button correctly tonight, and it just seemed the Wolves were very comfortable. They had an identity. They knew exactly what they were doing. They never, the early deficit never let it get to them, and they just kept going at it. And that's the biggest impressive thing is like the maturity for this team is just wow.
Yeah, I think two of the couple of storylines we thought going in were okay. How was Mike Conley and Rudy going to fit defensively, and particularly when the Lakers went small?
Yep.
It wasn't an issue. I mean, Rudy got the 2 quick fouls. Obviously, didn't have a huge impact like he had coming down the stretch the last 2 weeks of the season. But maybe it's that type of series where his impact is not going to be that. But it wasn't. It wasn't such a storyline that it stuck out like you thought it was. But and to the Wolves' credit, we talked about roster construction. They can win different ways. Right, they can win when they need Rudy in there, and they can win when you bring Naz in or go smaller. So, and I thought Mike. I mean, it was kind of a little bit of a tough start for him, but then he played well.
Yeah, he did
after after he came back in the second time in the second half. So, I mean, it was a complete game from them when you talk about the way they defended, particularly Austin Reeves and making life difficult for him. The assists. I mean, they had 29 assists on 44 makes, so they moved the ball. Right, it wasn't a lot of ISO, and so I think they probably accomplished everything they wanted to accomplish in terms of establishing what they want to do offensively against how the Lakers wanted to defend him. And it started with Ant because so much of the talk this week was how are they going to defend Ant? Are they going to blitz him on pick and rolls? Are they going to be in the gaps? And much like that Phoenix series last year, I think he showed his maturity as a player.
I think you're right. I think I was worried about Jaden McDaniels because he got a couple quick fouls. Sometimes that can lead to frustration. But like you guys already talked about, like 11 for 13. Like he was unbelievable in this game. Mid-range, he made a couple early threes, getting to beat that zone when they threw that zone at him early in the fourth. He beat it quick with a decisive little like 6-footer. Like he was everything you wanted, especially offensively and then defending against Luka. Chip, I want to play off. You just mentioned that Sun series last year. We got a comment question from Owen. Blue Sky says, "Am I crazy for seeing this as a very similar to the Suns series? Exposed flaws, and they played like a team while the Lakers played like a group of individuals." Too soon to say that, I think, but going into this, I thought there was that potential because everybody was saying that Suns matchup last year was bad, and then they ended up sweeping them. I don't think they're not going to sweep the Lakers, but there is the potential for this could be a better matchup for the Wolves than we realize. Just one game, but it could be a better matchup than we realize.
Yeah, I think it could. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I would say I really think it definitely could be the best we thought. I do have one quick question. So, Chip, have your thought, but I have a quick question for you guys about the rotation for the Wolves tonight.
Yeah. I think it's too early to compare, but I think his premise is right in that the Suns were a collection of individuals and they had some top line guys with Durant and Booker and those guys, but they didn't have the depth. I just think when you go to your bench and you outscore them 43-13, and they're going to have an advantage every game with their bench. I don't know if it's going to be that lopsided, but it should be pretty decisive. The Lakers have to figure out how to get something other than LeBron and Luka if they're going to have a chance in this series.
And they didn't get much LeBron tonight. He was pretty bad. He was pretty bad. He looked 40. He looked 40 tonight.
I just think the Wolves can beat. Yeah, I think the Wolves can beat them more ways than the Lakers can win.
I agree with that.
I think the Wolves can win a number of ways.
Ryan, what's your question about rotations?
Were you guys surprised that Jalen Clark didn't get any run tonight for the Wolves, and that Finch didn't go with a 9-man with those two, especially with Luka?
I thought he might, but I think he was one rotation away from trying it, but then they caught something in the second quarter, and it's also like it's probably something you go to if you need a spark, but they started to handle Luka, and so I think they just rode with what they had, and they didn't have to overextend any of those guys. I think he's going to be a factor in this series, but I think he would have tried it if he needed it. He didn't need it yet.
Yeah.
He didn't need it. Yeah.
I think they had such a run going in the second quarter, and then I don't want to say the Lakers really got back in it, but when they got to 12, I think Finch just said, "Okay, we're going to stay with this 8-man rotation and not outside that." So, but I think I agree with Mike. I mean, even if it's a 3-minute spurt just to body up Luka at some point in this series, I think we'll see more of him.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to only see 8 though, because their 8 are very good, and nobody had to play more than 35 minutes. Ant and Julius Randle both played 35 minutes. That's not crazy. Like Luka played 40, Austin Reeves 37, LeBron played 36. Like 3 of the Lakers guys, including 2 vets, played more than any of the Wolves' top guys or any of their guys. Period. So I still they can distribute minutes pretty well with 8 because they trust those 8 so well.
Yeah. I was very curious about that. I thought Jalen Clark might get some run, just in general, like maybe this is the guy who's going to take out Reeves or really help on Luka. But I think, like I said, Finch really settled into rotation, like what he got from his bench. Chip already talked about how great they were. I think he's like, okay, we're going to stick with this. And you're right. He was maybe 1 or 2 rotations, maybe 1 or 2 more Lakers scores away from maybe getting some run.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at the stats here. Obviously, Randall's 7 turnovers are way too many. He had a couple careless.
He had 7 of their 10. They only had 10 as a team. That's amazing.
I mean, he had just some careless ones, but 14 assists between him and Ant. Right. So that tells you like those guys are making the right play, and it's not so much ISO. I mean, if you get that, I mean, that is. I think that's exactly how they want to play. Right.
Yeah,
Both of those guys, and they'll get it back. Right. They'll still get. I mean. Yeah, Ant with 22 points and Randall with 16. So even with those assists, they gave him 38 points between them. So obviously his turnovers need to come down, but the assists, 14 assists between those two is pretty impressive.
Let's get to one by Adam here on X. Says, even though we hit a ton of threes, I think it's the defense that won the game. I tend to agree. I think it was all around, but they only give up 95, and a couple of those were in garbage time. The thing that they were doing early was giving up too much second chance, and Finch said that after the end of the first quarter. Once they started limiting that, like their first shot defense was pretty good all night.
It was. You could tell the Lakers and LeBron especially, they didn't want to deal with the physicality the Wolves were bringing. The Wolves were swarming at the rim, and their rotations were phenomenal. They were linked on a string together. It was a defense, I would agree, that the defense is really what won this game for them in the end. And that's the one thing. You can't always count on these threes translating to the next game. We all know this. That defense, that can travel. Defense can travel. They showed it tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up again Tuesday night.
Yeah. And the other thing, Ryan, we'll see if I can call it up here. 44. What was their fast break points? 25 to 6. 25 to 6 in the Wolves' favor. So that defense led to some. I think it helped them pick up the pace there in the second quarter where they were getting stops and they just played a lot faster. So again, you look at these stats and they're so lopsided, but 25 to 6 in fast break points. I think that stemmed from that defense. What he was talking about.
Jeff on Blue Skies, why do Minnesota sports fans see a 23-point lead with under 3 minutes left and still expect a total collapse? I think by that nature or nurture conjunction with one another, we believe we're psychologically damaged from the womb. I believe. Good win. I mean, I think by the time it was 23 with 3 minutes left, I think most people thought it was safe when they pulled the starters. But I'll admit, like this team has been up and down enough this season that when it got to 12, you're like, hey man. The Lakers are 2 minutes away from could make this a tie game. Like it was in the balance. That was where they really showed me something different. And again, it's just one game, but they showed me something different there. But I think people are damaged from years of playoff failure, but they've also seen this team do this in recent past. So I give them a pass for feeling nervous even when the lead was big.
Wasn't it just what they were talking about 2 weeks ago? Was the Bucks game?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Also,
the 24 with 10 minutes left. Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who's new to Minnesota sports, obviously, I've already. I mean, the Vikings, they were good. Everyone was, said, no way, and then you see what happens week 18 with the Lions, and week 1 against the Rams in the playoffs. Then you see the Bucks collapse, and it's just, oh man, I'm starting to understand the pain of a Minnesota fan. My dad and I were talking. We were watching the game together, and we were just chatting about it. And 24 point. It was a big lead, 4 points up in the fourth quarter, and even then, you're not fully comfortable.
No, you're never
you're not relaxed.
Nobody's ever fully comfortable.
No.
Minnesota sports fans do not relax. There's no.
I'm gathering that.
Yeah.
No. Luke Hanlon, a former student of mine. Where does Luka rank for you among the most unlikable Minnesota playoff villains? Luke. He's up there. He's up there. He has.
Okay, I gotta know why for Minnesota fans. Why do you guys hate? Why? What's with the Luka thing? I mean, he's
last
great.
Last year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
He's just like, and he's just got the. He's just like, he's like, he never thinks he commits a foul. The Lakers, the Wolves got called for 21 fouls tonight. Lakers got called for 10, and the Lakers probably complained on every single one of the ones they got called for. Luka never thinks he commits a foul. Always thinks he gets fouled on every single play, and you'd love to have him on your team, but he's the kind of guy. He's the kind of superstar you absolutely just hate. You look at him and you hate him if you're a Wolves fan, no doubt. He's up there.
I'm not gonna disagree.
He's up there.
How about them not getting a foul till 5 minutes left in the second quarter?
Well, you gotta play defense to get called.
Well, that's true.
That's a good point.
As Jay Bill said, he said, "I'm not sure that's a good thing." That they have to foul yet because
that's the craziest stat. Yeah, it's an insane stat to see that.
If you're JJ Redick, what adjustments do you think they make coming into game?
Right. That was the last question I wanted to ask you guys. That was from Coach Jed on the Blue Sky. What adjustments do you expect the Lakers to make, and how do you expect the Wolves to adjust? He said, I'm always optimistic, but have been disappointed since 1989. What lead do you consider safe? 20, 30? Here's another guy who's like, no lead can be too small. But this is going to be a series of adjustments. Game 2 is going to be different. What happens in game 2?
Yeah, I mean, Jay Bills, he put out the one time, I think it was Randall was driving and a guy helped off and left Nas alone in the corner. I think they're going to adjust how they handle the complimentary guys, and they had some, like you said, they had some wide open threes. I mean, they weren't very well connected. I don't think they had a good game plan in terms of helping off. Clearly, they were going to do it with Ant. I think they put Reeves on him early to try to get Ant to drive, and then they were going to collapse on him and try to force turnovers that way. Ant handled it well, but it'll be interesting to see. if the Wolves shoot like this, there's not a whole lot of adjustments. If you make that many threes, adjustments that Finch makes, there's probably some subtle tweaks, but I mean, the thing about Luka's going to score his points because he makes more difficult shots than anybody.
Yeah.
So with him, it's just he's either going to make it or miss it. Like you can contest it. And I thought they had the right game plan. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought his rotation again to start the second quarter with that group he brought in there, I thought was, really, really changed the game. They'll probably have some minor tweaks in terms of coverages, but I think the way they played and the way they moved the ball and getting 14 assists from Ant and Julius combined, I mean, I think that's how they want to attack them.
I mean, I think go ahead, Ryan. You go first.
I think the Wolves are going to see maybe a little quicker pace, actually.
Yeah,
I think the Wolves understand that. Look, we are just so superior, athletically to this team. They're going to push that pace even more. I do think Redick's going to try and actually get Reeves going early on in game one, trying to get a matchup against Mike one-on-one and just get him going because he just looked shook. Everything was just off, it seemed like.
And he was forcing things late,
forcing things, the shot was off left and right. So I could see, and obviously the Lakers clearly need that third scorer. I mean, that's apparent. So I could see them maybe trying to get Reeves going a little earlier. But that's the problem with the Lakers, though. What adjustments do you really have to make? Because you don't have a rim protector. Playing Jackson Hayesmore is not the answer.
No.
So because the Wolves can beat almost any Laker off the dribble and get to the rim, you're either saying, hey, we're going to give up a dead semi-contested layup or an open three, if you're going to collapse from the corner. So I'm not sure what Redick and them do, but I think offensively they're going to try and get Reeves going. For Finch, push the pace. I think he's going to continue to push the pace, and it was a great game plan, and it worked out well. Let's see what happens if on a night they don't hit the threes.
I think the Lakers spread the floor a little bit more, run a little bit less pick and roll because the Wolves are just switching all the pick and rolls, and they showed that pretty much anybody who gets put on anybody else can at least do a competent job, especially if Gobert is back there to clean things up. I also think they try to engage the Wolves in a little bit of try to get inside the Wolves' heads a little bit because the Wolves have shown they will. There is still a component to that. They want to get Jaden McDaniels in foul trouble. They want to get Jaden McDaniels off his game. They want to get Ant out of this comfortable mindset. So I think it's going to be less about tactical adjustments and more about attitude adjustments in game 2 for the Lakers.
You said the exact right word there, comfortable. I thought Ant was very comfortable tonight. And the whole conversation, I think the Lakers' game plan was to make him uncomfortable, get him to drive in there, take hero shots, force bad passes. We didn't see any of that. Would you say one turnover? I mean,
one turnover.
Just a mature, smart game by him and the way he attacked him. And I think it set up everything else. And Ryan, you mentioned it. The Wolves continuously beat him off the dribble, got into the lane and kicked it. And so that's what led to all those. If they can do that, you might not shoot 50%, but even if you're, at 40, 42, they're going to be hard to defend.
Wolves were the only lower seed to win on Saturday. Let's run through some of the other ones quick before we go. Best one was probably Denver Clippers. Denver wins in overtime, pulls off a big comeback. Knicks over Detroit. Knicks were down in the fourth quarter, but used a pretty big run, and then Indiana was pretty comfortable over Milwaukee. Not a ton of surprises there. I think Denver Clippers is going to be a good series. I think the Knicks do eventually handle Detroit, even though I think Detroit's going to give them a good series. What'd you guys watch today?
I saw Denver. I think that one goes 7 games. That's going to be a really good one. That's going to be a great series. I saw a little bit of the Knicks. They had that run. I think it was like a 17-0 run late, right?
Third quarter, fourth quarter combo. Yeah,
it was crazy. So
I think it's what you saw in the Clippers Nuggets series, game was you saw the best player in the court take control, but also that's why I'm taking for Warriors over Rockets. That same thing is with Jokic running the offense, the Nuggets got a good look on offense almost every single time. The Clippers, it was still a little erratic. So I trust Jokic that matter. So I trust Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler to take on the Rockets the next day. I mean, and basically Indiana and Milwaukee, similar to this game in a sense, Milwaukee's got Giannis, the best player in the series. Indiana's so deep, and they got a star in Tyrese Halliburton, who is not afraid to go against, Giannis. That's what Ant is, to Luka. So not surprised there. Pistons, they're just green. They're young. You could tell they were not ready for that moment at all when the lights shone brightest.
Yeah. That Warriors Rocket series I think has a chance to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I do too.
You know,
I
it's with Steph and those that pedigree. I kind of lean their way, even though the
I do
Rockets
too.
are fine.
They're favored.
You know,
Yeah, they're favored in this series.
Yeah, they are.
I think Memphis is going to give Oklahoma City some games too.
Me too.
Even though it's 8-1. Memphis, I don't mess with Ja Morant in the playoffs.
If there's any team arrogant enough to walk into the Thunder Arena and
that's
think
a scary eight. That's a scary 8 seed. They win 48 games this year. The West is ridiculous.
It's the West.
48 wins in there. Yeah, I can't wait to watch tomorrow. Yeah,
that's what I mean. I think I heard Barkley say it a couple weeks ago in his try. It's like, are you going to be surprised if anybody in the West comes out of there because they're all just so jam packed together? It's like
Oklahoma City is just that much better in the regular season, but they still got to prove it. They still got to prove it in the playoffs. They haven't done it.
Postseason.
They haven't
exactly.
done it. I think we see a different game Tuesday too. In game 2, I mean, Lakers are going to throw everything they got at it. That's what we're going to see. Like if the Wolves are serious, like they need to play well in game 2.
Yes,
they can take control. They can take control of the series. Everyone was like happy to be there. Won game 1 in Phoenix last year, and they were like, no, let's get game 2 as well. We're going to take this thing. Take it at home, and then get those next 2 in Phoenix, and then it was lights out. So I don't know. I think we'll see a lot. We'll see where this series stands, even more clearly after Tuesday night.
Oh, for sure! Can't wait to do this again.
Yeah, we'll do this again Tuesday night. Ryan, Chip, appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you again Tuesday.
See ya.
Awesome, thank you.